Hey guys, Nuzzle here, and today I have yet another video that isn't really thematic, though it is kind of a little bit. It's more of an interesting topic and debate. Today we're going to be talking about the Mad Titan Thanos from the MCU versus the ghost of the Uchiha, Madara. Now, there are several versions of each character, so I'll split up into 4 different rounds. Round 1 will consist of base Thanos versus alive Madara. Round 2 will be Titan Battle Thanos versus Edo Madara. Round 3 will be Wakanda Battle Thanos and Ten-Tailed Madara. And round 4 will be full Infinity Gauntlet Thanos versus Ten-Tails Madara, the Infinite Tsukuyomi. If you're going to enjoy this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let's just get into it. To start with round 1, base Thanos versus alive Madara, I think I'll need to go over Thanos first, since he's fairly downplayed in the versus community, at least without his gauntlet. Thanos in base could beat down both Hulk and Thor. Thor was strong enough to take being tortured by the Power Stone, an Infinity Stone so powerful it could destroy entire planets. Before his amp in Ragnarok, he was able to create a crater over 100 times greater than the Grand Canyon. The power needed to do this would be equal to 116.4 yotatons of TNT, or enough to destroy large planets. His amp in Ragnarok can be scaled to 10 times greater, due to him destroying the Bifrost Bridge with one attack easily, whereas previously it took 10 attacks to destroy it in the first Thor movie, increasing his AP to around 1.16 ninatons of TNT, or large planet level. Thor also has a feat of surviving all of the energy of a neutron star. While taking the heat of a star is nowhere near close to the amount of energy required to destroy a star, it is explicitly stated to be the full force of a neutron star and Needle of the Layer, which was installed with a Dyson Sphere. For those that don't know what a Dyson Sphere is, it is the futuristic megastructure built to harvest full energy potency of a star. A neutron star can release energy equal to 23.9 ninatons of TNT, basically enough to destroy dwarf stars. Thanos in base is able to keep up with Captain Marvel, who's also capable of using photon blasts as attacks. Thanos is even able to react to them. Photons themselves travel at light speeds, and Thor could also fly right past a black hole, something that pulls in things faster than light. Well, yes, he was using Mjolnir to fly by, and it wasn't necessarily sheer speed. Thanos was able to dodge point-blank attacks from Mjolnir flying straight at him, meaning he should scale to light speed. Madara, when he was alive, is implied to be stronger than when he was in Edo Tensei. As an Edo, he was capable of summoning a large meteor from far away with enough power to do so being equal to 20.82 petatons of TNT, or enough to destroy multiple continents in a single attack. He also planned to take on Ten-Tailed Obito in base, which means that while he doesn't inherently scale to him that way, he is able to take on Sage Mode Hashirama and defeat him, who also thought that Obito was above him, meaning it's not that much of a stretch to say that Obito with the Ten-Tails is on par with Madara. Obito with the Ten-Tails was able to summon the World Tree, a structure so great that its roots spread across the earth in less than a second. In order to do so, Obito must have power equal to 94.69 zetatons of TNT, or enough to destroy entire planets. He would also massively upscale from Orange Mask Obito, who is capable of casting a Genjutsu over the Nine Tails, being stated able to turn the world to ash and have world-shattering power. Madara's Susanoo is also stated to be able to smash all things in the universe. We'll come back to that later. As for speed, Madara was easily able to stomp the 5 Kage, one of which, the Raikage, was stated able to move at light speed. Madara should also massively upscale from Haku, who was also stated able to move at light speed. So from what we have here, Thanos would be much stronger than alive Madara, however they would at least be relative in speed, albeit I think Madara would have the edge due to just how much he massively upscales some other light speed tier foes. However, you could argue that Madara is stronger due to Susanoo apparently being able to destroy all things within the universe. If we take this super literally, then Madara is basically saying that he's able to destroy large stars bare minimum with his Susanoo. This would of course give Madara the edge in power. However, even without this scaling, I still think we'd get the upper hand on Thanos. That's just due to the fact that Thanos doesn't really have any of these abilities to himself yet, as opposed to Madara. Thanos can summon his sword to him. He has low regeneration, enhanced senses, a high IQ, and has resistance to radiation, sleep inducement, and mind manipulation. Madara, on the other hand, has several jutsus and the Mangekyo Sharingan, which will also apply to every other version of Madara that we talk about for the most part. With jutsus and basic chakra techniques, Madara has statistics amplification, chakra manipulation, surface scaling and water walking, afterimage creation, self-mastery and speed enhancement, which basically means that if Thanos is on par with Madara in terms of speed, then Madara can still just make himself faster. The substitution jutsu allows the user to instantly replace themselves with a nearby object as soon as they're attacked, in a way that basically allows Madara to avoid Thanos' attacks. The clone technique allows Madara to create illusionary clones of himself. The transformation technique allows Madara to transform himself into other people, animals, plants, and inanimate objects. Madara can paralyze people in place with the temporary paralysis technique. He can also bring people back from the dead to fight for him. He has fire, air, water, electricity, and earth manipulation. He can sense targets from far away. He can reflect chakra attacks. He can summon things to him, has an immense pain tolerance, and has minimal telepathy. With the Susanoo, Madara has resistance to absorption, status effect inducement, extreme heat, fear manipulation, madness manipulation, and transmutation. This is also before we even get into the abilities of the Sharingan, which grant Madara enhanced sight, including being able to see invisible enemies and see things on a cellular level, information analysis and power mimicry, as the Sharingan can discern the reality behind any technique and can reflect it back onto its user, and can mimic genjutsu, ninjutsu, and taijutsu to near perfected accuracy. He can also anticipate his opponent's moves and can see into the future for their movements. He has minor light manipulation, illusion reflection due to being able to reflect genjutsu, illusion nullification, being able to break free of and nullify genjutsu. He has minor astral projection, as he can enter his opponent's consciousness. He has illusion creation, mind manipulation, paralysis inducement, sleep inducement, perception manipulation, memory manipulation, resistance to illusion creation, and perception manipulation and mind manipulation. And one of his most OP abilities being the Izanagi. The Izanagi can rid the user of any disadvantages such as injury or death by casting an illusion on the user, which basically turns their unwanted reality into a dream or illusion. However, anything that's advantageous for their opponent's attacks still remain. And remember, this is only the Sharingan. We've still got the Mangekyo to go over. With the Mangekyo, Madara has access to a protective aura, soul manipulation, and non-physical interaction, as the Susanoo could interact with the soul, and is the physical manifestation of chakra which comes from the soul, and it has no physical form. It can create weapons, create force fields, has a large size, and can create shockwaves. So I think it's obvious that a live Madara just has more to work with than Thanos does in base. Even if you have speed equal, Madara can still just enhance his speed and has multiple ways of dodging. Yeah, Thanos can resist being put to sleep and has limited resistance to having his mind controlled, but Madara has plenty more ways to deal with him, such as attacking his soul, casting Thanos in an illusion, or just manipulating his memory. The only thing that, kind of questions Madara's abilities being able to work on Thanos is some of them are specific to chakra attacks. For example, is Sharingan being able to mimic any of anyone's techniques? Well, yes, Madara could mimic Thanos' fighting style. Thanos doesn't use chakra, so he wouldn't exactly be able to copy many of his abilities. Not that it's too big a deal, but it's something that we need to go over when we talk about Thanos with the Reality Stone. Speaking of which, going into round 2, Thanos has all of the stones he had for his fight on Titan, consisting of the Power Stone, the Space Stone, the Reality Stone, and the Soul Stone. With the Power Stone, Thanos gains a buff to his strength and can nullify the mirror dimension. He can create vibrations and has energy projection. The Space Stone allows Thanos to open portals, turn people intangible, and has access to telekinesis, along with spatial manipulation, gravity manipulation, BFR, and possibly physics manipulation too. With the Reality Stone, Thanos can, of course, warp reality to however he wants. He has transmutation, invisibility, attack reflection, and biological manipulation. He can create illusions, absorb fire from Iron Man's missiles. He can turn people into stone, can create small black holes, can fuse the Hulkbuster with a rock. And while he's never done this, Reality Stone should also allow Thanos to increase his size, create things out of nothing, and heal himself more efficiently. And with the Soul Stone, Thanos can seal souls away. He has soul manipulation, life manipulation, and death manipulation, as the Soul Stone can allow the user to control all life within the universe. There's also a pocket reality that exists inside of the Soul Stone, and can also help to resurrect people from the dead within this pocket reality. Thanos also has another speed feat where he kept up with Doctor Strange, who should scale to the Ancient One, who is capable of perceiving lightning in slow motion, basically giving her astral form a speed of just over 3 times the speed of light. Edo Madara, meanwhile, he isn't as strong as his alive counterpart, however he should scale to the feats I've already outlined. The main difference here is that Madara is an Edo Tensei and has the Rinnegan. As an Edo, Madara has godly regeneration and can regenerate so long as his soul is still intact, and as a result has levels of immortality. He also has self-sustenance, inorganic physiology, wood manipulation, and statistics reduction. With the Rinnegan, Madara can see invisible objects which reside in a different dimension and can create invisible clones. He has body puppetry, possession, clairvoyance, telepathy via black chakra receivers. The Deva Path allows Madara to levitate, manipulate gravity, seal things away, and gives him telekinesis. The Human Path gives Madara mind reading, soul manipulation, and being able to directly pull someone's soul out of them, instantly killing them. The Nakra Path grants the user summoning, healing, and limited death manipulation due to the King of Hell being able to instantly kill anyone who lies to them when asked a question. The King of Hell is also invisible to anyone other than the victim. With the Azura Path, Madara has explosive manipulation, homing attacks, weapons creation, body control, and cyborganization due to being able to create, mechanical arms basically, and also being able to create explosions which home on the target. The Petrapath allows Madara to absorb ninjutsu and can absorb chakra from someone else, and Madara also gains resistance to binding properties, basically meaning he cannot be forcibly held in place. The new abilities make things much more complicated, as they now counter both certain abilities, but also now have many win conditions. For starters, Madara can close the strength gap by lowering Thanos' power. He can even still see Thanos if he is invisible. He can avoid being turned into things with his illusions and clones. Madara's insane regeneration would also help, and he can also just steal Thanos' soul and kill Thanos immediately with the King of Hell, although it is a bit situational. However, Thanos' reality warping and illusions could still work on Madara. Yes, Madara can see through stuff, as we said earlier, but it's more chakra and genjutsu related. Of course, if you still think that Madara could still reflect and absorb Thanos' reality attacks, then it gives him one massive one-up on Thanos. However, I'm not entirely sure that, you could just say he's completely unaffected by the Reality Stone. Thanos' abilities could also allow him to perfectly counter Madara's regeneration due to being able to hurt Madara's soul, and Thanos can also hard counter Madara's duplication due to basically doing what he did against Doctor Strange. Thanos can also resist Madara sealing him away due to his Space Stone, and you could possibly argue he can nullify Madara's Genjutsu, as, he could nullify the Mirror Dimension. Although that said is a little bit different, with the Mirror Dimension flying straight towards Thanos, meanwhile Madara just literally has to look at Thanos for it to take effect. And, also Madara's projectile jutsus could also just be absorbed by Thanos. Thanos could fuse Madara into something, and Madara's clones wouldn't be able to, get him out of it due to not being able to do much, as we already said. The Susanoo's giant size isn't a problem, since Thanos could just make him a giant too, or even just make the Susanoo smaller with his reality warping if you think that would affect Madara. Thanos can also turn, Madara's attacks into bubbles. Basically, whoever's fast enough to land their win condition first would win the fight, and you could both very easily make the argument winning. I would argue that Madara is faster than Thanos due to the previous points, however you can allow, Thanos' reality warping, and it makes it a much closer thing, as I think he's then therefore more likely to get his win con off, as he can avoid all of Madara's win conditions much easier. That said though, Thanos has one glaring weakness, that if the gauntlet is removed, he loses all of his abilities. Madara could very well remove it, by playing with Thanos' senses, trapping him in illusion, and while Madara is very smart, I'm not entirely sure he would know to immediately go for the glove, unless Thanos attacks it with him first, and if that's the case, Thanos could defeat Madara with that one attack. Personally, I think Thanos is more likely to win, although quite frankly, you could very, very easily make a good, case for both of them winning. Round 3, arguably the biggest debate here, with Thanos on Wakanda versus Ten Tails Madara. While on Wakanda, Thanos gains the abilities of the Time Stone. The Time Stone allows Thanos to manipulate time, as you might expect, which includes him being able to rewind time, speed it up, stop time, and has precognition. Whereas Ten Tails Madara gains a massive power-up, and while yes, he is much weaker than characters like Kaguya, who is stated to be a lesser threat than Momoshiki. Momoshiki would have to be literally billions of times more powerful than Madara in order for him not to scale to Momoshiki's feat of creating an entire realm with a sheer large amount of stars in the sky. In order to do so, Momoshiki should at least be able to create and destroy solar systems to multiple solar systems at least. And again, have Madara billions of times weaker, he would still scale to the solar system level. This is also consistent if you take the whole Susanoo smashing everything in the universe feat. As well, that's not quite solar system level, it would bare minimum be the high end of large star level, and with the Ten Tails, the amp should be enough to get Madara to the solar system level ranges. Madara also gets access to the Light Fang, an attack that was explicitly stated to be a beam of light, and Madara is also able to keep up with Six Paths Naruto, who could dodge the Light Fang at point blank range, basically meaning that Naruto must be moving at 12.4 times faster than light. As for abilities, Madara isn't an Edo Tensei anymore, which means he doesn't quite have his godly regeneration or zombie-like features, but he still retains his jutsus and abilities of the Sharingan, Mangekyo Sharingan, and Rinnegan. Despite his godly regen being removed, he still has a pretty good healing factor, regenerating from having half of his body blowing off and laughing it off. He now has true flight, and with the truth-seeking orbs, he gains light manipulation, energy manipulation, and matter manipulation due to being superior to Inoki's dust release, which could turn targets to dust on a molecular level. The truth-seeking orbs also grant Madara reality warping, as they are partially comprised of the yin-yang released, which are basically capable of altering reality in many different ways. With his reality warping, Madara gains even more abilities such as existence erasure for ninjutsu, space, time, and matter, transmutation, shape-shifting, and size manipulation, limited telekinesis, power nullification, as the balls can negate and erase all ninjutsu on contact, along with energy and elemental-based attacks, along with the truth-seeking orbs, which were stated to be the same as Kaguya's, and Kaguya could create new space-times. As the Jubi Jinchuriki, Madara is impervious to ninjutsu, energy, and elemental attacks, and the only thing that's really known to hurt him is natural energy. This doesn't mean he can't be hurt at all by any other means, it's just that the only known method to do so within the context of Naruto is through natural-based attacks. He also has soul manipulation and non-physical interaction with the tailed beast chakra arms, which allow the user to interact with the soul. I mean, Madara has so many different ways of affecting the soul at this point. Madara also gains resistances such as mind manipulation and existence erasure, as the users of the Six Paths chakra are unaffected by the effects of the truth-seeking orbs. He also has resistance to madness manipulation, ice manipulation, cosmic radiations, paralysis inducement, body puppetry, possession, and arguably the most important resistance in this fight, resistance to having his power nullified. All in all, there are tons of things to go over here. In terms of raw power and durability, Madara is shown to be physically stronger than Thanos. For speed, while Madara has a higher stat and can increase his own speed, Thanos with the Time Stone can get around the speed advantage by just freezing Madara in time, and realistically that's his best win condition. is basically his best way to win is just to completely immobilize Madara. While Madara can break 3 of a paralysis inducement, the Time Stone isn't exactly something that paralyzes people specifically, as his name implies, it's more of a time-based one. And while Madara can affect space-time, it's not really anything that suggests he's fast enough to, capitalize on, time freezing him. That said, Madara does have advantages besides the physical stats. Along with the advantages we've already went over, Madara gains an immunity to Thanos' energy-based attacks and can even nullify said attacks too. He can counter and match Thanos' transmutation with his own, and his existence erasure could definitely come in handy. If Madara could damage the Infinity Gauntlet this way, then Thanos is pretty fucked. He also resists Thanos' power nullification too. Basically, when it comes down to it, it's who can get their win con first, like last time. Thanos arguably has less win conditions than Madara, however are much more simple and less debatable if they could affect Madara. Meanwhile, Madara has more win conditions as we said, however all of his win conditions can be counteracted. This is also not even assuming that Thanos' reality warping and illusions would not be able to affect Madara. Basically, Madara's main win conditions consist of taking Thanos' soul, using the truth-seeking orbs to negate Thanos' regeneration, erasing Thanos' memories, or using the Sharingan to learn of the Infinity Gauntlet and basically read back Thanos' future movements. You could imply that, he just sees that Thanos is about to do something and just defeats him before he does so. However, Thanos, could also just freeze Madara in time. Madara can't really do anything about that, and even just rewind them too. Although that said, Thanos wouldn't have any reason to not look Madara in the eyes, which would also give Madara the edge, as even if Madara is stopped in time, he could still catch Thanos in a Genjutsu, although it's not like Thanos needs to look into Madara's eyes in order to win. Also, Madara's in character, it would either grant him his victory or doom it completely, as he would notice the Infinity Gauntlet and would therefore get curious as to how it works. He would either then just immediately take it away with his superior speed and abilities, or he would just let Thanos use the Gauntlet in order to see what it was capable of, and it would perfectly play into Thanos' win con. Thanos' win con can also only be countered if Madara makes eye contact with him. However, Madara's win cons can be countered by, all of the abilities we've previously went over. Hell, even if he goes to kill Thanos in a way that doesn't remove the Gauntlet, Thanos could just rewind time, basically, or just heal himself that way. Although a counterpoint you can make to this is that Thanos would have to specifically use the Time Stone to get his win condition. If he leads with any other of his abilities, it would be giving Madara more time to get his win condition off. However, that said, it's not like Thanos' other abilities are completely useless. The Soul Stone completely counters Madara's clones, the Space Stone can allow Thanos to get to another part of the battlefield, and basically makes Madara phase through him, which is yet another way of him, avoiding Madara's win cons. Thanos' Reality Stone is something that you could easily beat Madara with, if you imply that Madara can just resist Genjutsu and nothing more. So who wins? It's kind of impossible to say, to be honest. Madara has more win conditions and in concept can pull them off easier. However, Thanos has ways of avoiding Madara's win cons, and Madara can't really avoid Thanos' win cons. However, that said, Thanos kind of needs to have pre-battle knowledge in order to know that he can't really afford Madara to hit him physically due to the stat gap. All in all, I'm willing to say that Madara is more likely to win. However, much like in the Edo Madara versus Thanos thing in Titan, you could very easily make the argument that Thanos could win. The last round is much more simple, as it isn't that different. Thanos gains the Mind Stone, which grants Thanos telepathy, dream manipulation, mind manipulation, and purification. Telepathy could grant Thanos a way of learning how to beat Madara, but as we'll get into in a moment, he won't really have the time to. With the entire gauntlet, Thanos gets deconstruction, matter manipulation, reconstruction, as the entire gauntlet is shown being able to turn people to dust and bring them back to life. The gauntlet was also able to tear the universe to atoms, basically meaning that Thanos can be scaled to universal. Madara with the infinite Tsukuyomi only really gets advanced illusion creation and mind manipulation, as the infinite Tsukuyomi traps everyone on the planet in an illusion, making them experience dreams based off of their deepest desires. This basically makes it a very one-stroke dual battle,
as basically the winner of this fight literally just has to do one thing to win. Madara just has to activate the Infinite Tsukuyomi, while Thanos just has to snap his fingers. Madara's win condition is more simple, but much like in the other debates, Thanos is shown able to break free out of mind manipulation. Yes, this has more enhanced mind manipulation than Thanos has faced, but if you take into account, that Thanos is able to easier or break out of mind control easier when he's hit physically, then you can apply that, because the Infinite Tsukuyomi doesn't kill Thanos inherently, it wouldn't be enough to, win the fight that way. If Madara hits Thanos in a way that doesn't one-shot him, then it could help him break out and allow Thanos to snap his fingers. Although you could have Madara just, use his soul manipulation or just steal Thanos' soul when he's immobilized and just have him win that way. You could also argue that maybe Thanos could eventually just break free on his own. Because, if Madara's in character, then he could just leave Thanos in the Infinite Tsukuyomi, as that was just his entire plan, just to activate it. Although, basically, it comes down to just, who's more likely to set off their win condition first. And there's not really much of a way of knowing. You could argue that Madara's more likely to do so, especially if he's bloodlusted, since he has a speed advantage, but, I guess that's kind of down to interpretation, especially because, as we said, the Time Stone could just rewind Madara's actions just before he uses the Infinite Tsukuyomi, and would give Thanos the perfect window just to snap his fingers.
This video was a very complicated one to go through, especially because how both of them could very easily win given the different circumstances. That said, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe. Massive shout out to Ultra Neptune who helped provide calcs for Thanos' side of the video, and his link will be in the description below, and I'll see you all in the next video.